This is the Sharp 68000. It's a Japanese computer from the late 80s. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's based on the Motorola 68000 CPU architecture family. The SKU of this specific machine is the CZ600CE. It has a 1 megabyte internal RAM expansion card. This displays 16-bit RGB color and supports some different video resolutions ranging from 240p to 124 squared, although the higher res display modes support fewer colors at the same time. The graphics are based on sprites and tile maps, and there's also hardware support for scrolling. My particular setup is using an old ViewSonic CRT, which is not the OEM display, but don't tell anyone. And the device itself emits sound right from the board. You can hear here. It supports external audio too. This keyboard allows for input of both Latin and Japanese glyphs, plus there's 5 extra function keys at the bottom. For media, this device uses 5¼ inch floppy disks. This device has 2 FTDs that you see here on the front. When you boot it, it prompts you to insert a disk. So typically you boot it with a boot disk. Most games come on 2 or 3 or 4 disks that you have to switch out, and there's a dedicated user disk for storing saved games. When you load them, the disk faces left, and you want to follow the prompts to load the right disk and the right FTD. The media cases for games of this platform tend to be pretty big. They're made of plastic. They open like a book. Like a lot of PC games of this era, they tend to come with these really nice, lush art books in addition to the instruction manual. I really like the one for Gradius. The Sharp 68K supports an OS called Human 68K, which is a bit like DOS if DOS were built to work well for Japanese language. You could use this computer for anything. It could be a general purpose computer. You could do your word processing on it if you want, but it was really solid for games. Lots of adaptations of arcade games like Gradius, Daytona Twinbee, Final Fight, Ghouls and Ghosts. I only have a few games for this platform, but my favorite is Lagoon. A lot of people know Lagoon as a Super Nintendo game, but the SNES version is actually a port. The original is for this computer, and it has noticeably better graphics. Since the levels between the two are similar enough, I got to use my old SNES strategy guide. This was given to me as a gift a really long time ago. This particular machine, I was surprised that both loading and saving to the user disk of Lagoon worked, since FTDIO is usually one of the first things to go. Lagoon has a gameplay really similar to Ys, spelled YS if you've played that. You hold down a button to draw your sword, and then run into enemies at just the right angle. I played through all of Lagoon on this platform. It was really fun. We're already entering an age nowadays where computers of this era are starting to deteriorate, especially floppy disk media for them. Between this and the TRS-80, I feel grateful when stuff works rather than disappointment when it doesn't. But there's momentum to emulate FTD controls, or you can emulate the whole system end to end. So rest assured we should be able to enjoy these games for longer yet.